What's up, ladies and gents, Ghost here, and today I've got my first impressions of Naval Strike for you guys. So let's start off with talking about the map design. After all, map design is always the most important factor in any DLC, since whatever weapon, vehicle, or whatever game mode you're playing on, you're always going to be playing on the same maps, and whether those maps turn out to be fun or not really depends largely upon their design. So here in the background we have Operation Mortar. I'm playing on Carrier Assault at the moment, and I will cover Carrier Assault a little bit later in the video, but at the moment, talking just solely on the design of the maps themselves, I think this is some of DICE's better work when it comes to Battlefield 4. I'm really enjoying these maps. They've done a lot of things that are really different, that differ from the norm when it comes to the scalability of the maps and the flow of action. For example, here on Operation Mortar, you can see I'm sort of working my way up this hillside, and at the top of the hill you have this giant fort, and going down these tunnels here really gave me this Return to Castle Wolfenstein kind of feeling, and you can see there are lots of different paths you can take here. Pretty much every corner you come to, you can go left, you can go right, you can go down, you can go up, and it really leads to a lot of different flanking routes. So you don't have to take your way up the hillside there, you can go up underneath the fort and work your way up that way instead. Pop up in the middle here and you're right close to one of the flags. This footage here is from some domination, and this game mode plays out extremely well on Operation Mortar. As you can see, we have flag A up there right at the fort and B and C below. So usually it works out that one team will get hold of B and C, but then if they want to go and take flag A and work their way up the hill, it's going to be an uphill struggle, no pun intended. But they do have plenty of rocks and plenty of cover that you can move to. So you can move from cover to cover and easily work your way up the hill if you play it smartly. Now, the fact that attack boats are pretty prominent in Naval Strike probably comes as no surprise, so if you're not great in them, I would really recommend getting good in them, and if you're in an attack boat with somebody, make sure that you repair them, guys, because believe me, there are attack boats. You will have attack boats coming out of your ears in all of these maps. There are so many of them in these games, and most of the maps seem to have a recurring theme. There are usually a few objective points, so conquest flags, or the new objectives, if you're playing Carrier Assault that is, on the central island. So on Operation Mortar you have the central island with the fort. On Wavebreaker you have the submarine pen, and there will be a few objectives there. But then most of the objectives are actually scattered on small islands around the map, and these are usually controlled by attack boats or rib boats. You of course have the new hovercrafts. I'll come to those a little bit later in the video as I just take one down there. But all of these islands can actually be controlled, and you can get on the burn of the flag whilst you're still in the attack boat, sort of hovering around the shore. So if you're caught as infantry on one of these small islands, you're pretty much screwed. You really need to find a vehicle on this map. You need a jet ski, a hovercraft, you need something to get from A to B. Once again, no pun intended. Otherwise, you're going to be dead in the water. I don't know how I do it, I really don't. So here we are on Wavebreaker, and this is actually the sub-pen that is inside the mountain. So this is the central hub. It has 3 different flags in here, 3 different objectives that you can cap. And as you can see, even though we're actually inside a sub-pen, there are still a lot of long-range engagements here. It's not as close range as you might have first initially thought. And I think this is really cool, you know. They have the canals here so that you can open the gates via the little button at 4 different places, and an attack boat can come in, it can do a run by, and it can try and kill some infantry, but this zone is 90% an infantry only zone. So even though there's a lot of attack boats, a lot of helicopters outside around those outer flags, you always find on each map that at the center it's mainly infantry focused. So without a shadow of a doubt, the maps play really amazingly, but they look gorgeous as well. I thought I'd show you here. This is me flying around on Naval Strike, and I specifically wanted to choose some jet footage because I really feel that Battlefield 4 is the most beautiful actually when you're up in the sky, you're in the jets, and you can really see the sky, the seas, you can appreciate all of the artwork of the game from a different perspective. And it just looks so good. All of these maps look amazing, especially if you play on something like Operation Mortar and you start, the sun is just starting to come up over the horizon, and as you gradually get into the round, the sun fully comes up, and it's breathtaking, you know, it just looks so good. It can be somewhat annoying actually from the perspective of a jet pilot, but nevertheless, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Alright, so with that said, what about the new game mode? What about Carrier Assault? Well, everyone's been looking forward to this one for quite a while since they heard about it, and most people have been giving it good feedback. For me, it's not really cracked up to what I thought it would be. It just kind of disappointed me. I don't know. When you get on the actual carriers, it's either just a complete nade spam fest, or you end up encountering stupid bugs, actually, like this one that you can see here. Apparently, my client says that the door is open, but the server says that the door is closed, and as a result, I can't get through it, even though it appears to be open for me, and these doors just really do not function well. I don't feel like they're well integrated into the game. Only the defenders can open them, so they're sort of opening them, shooting through, shutting them again, and it just makes for a clunky mechanic in my opinion. I really don't think that they should have put those in the game. And most of the time you're going to find that if your carrier is breached, your team really don't fall back enough to defend it, and the enemy team can just often storm you in a matter of seconds, plant off the MCOMs, and the game will be over before you know it. All in all, I feel like I really just enjoy the first starting part of Carrier Assault, you know, the part that's like Conquest, more than I do the end part. And then of course there's the fact that the Carrier Assault part of the game is always the same. No matter which of the 4 maps you're playing on, the Carrier is built the exact same way, so that experience is always going to be the same from you, no matter which map you actually play on. All in all, I feel like the whole Carrier design was somewhat rushed. I don't think they put as much time in. I mean, here you can see the waves are glitching through the floor here in the engine room, so the waves sort of crash into the carrier where you can drive in the back of it in an attack boat or in a rib boat, and they're sort of glitching into the engine room. All these things and little bugs that I'm encountering just kind of give me the feeling that it was rushed a bit by DICE, and I don't know, maybe I've just had a bad experience with the carriers. Maybe you guys have had a more positive experience, you enjoy it more, but I really feel like it's going to be a novelty that's going to wear off fast. Once everybody gets used to doing the carrier assaulting portion of Carrier Assault, I think it's kind of going to get old very quickly. Now that said, when it comes to the Rush game mode, I think Rush is great in Naval Strike. It's a lot more fun playing Rush than I've had in a long time in Battlefield 4, which is great news, because in Battlefield 3, Rush was my favourite game mode. I played more Rush than I did Conquest. In BF4, I've been mostly sticking to Conquest because the map design just really isn't what it used to be for Rush when it was back in BF3. But with Naval Strike, I've been really enjoying it a lot. You can actually see I'm playing Rush here, and that some of the objectives, I think the last 2 sets of MCOMs here on Naval Strike are actually on board the enemy carrier. So they are using these carriers in more than just Carrier Assault. Now here I am playing Rush on Lost Island, and I had an absolute blast playing Rush in this map. It is so much fun. This is actually the one with the downed aeroplane in the middle. Unfortunately, the sound for this file kind of got messed up, so there's no sound for this one. I apologise for that, guys, but I wanted to show it to you nonetheless, because this is really great map design. You move from phase to phase. You start off with the 2 MCOMs up on some sort of peninsula. Now you can see we're down on the ground in between 2 islands, and there's water in between. And this is something interesting that they've done. You'll see you can still keep your primary equipped no matter where you are in the water. It's so shallow that you can keep out your primary weapon, but you move slower. So that's something they've never done, as far as I know, in Battlefield 4. It's an interesting gameplay mechanic as I go to flank these guys around here. They have no idea where I am, and they're about to go down. That guy knew where I was, apparently, but that's the end of him. So moving on to some of the new vehicles here. First off, of course, we have the Hovercraft. This thing is so much fun. I got in this, and the first thing I thought was I have to go on some sort of a roadkill rampage, just like come out of the sea, get up on the land, try and roadkill some people. And you can see here I managed to get sort of out of bounds, get up on the land, and at any time the great thing about the Hovercraft is you can just zoom off the edge of a cliff and land on the water and just keep on going. It is so much fun, guys, and these are really going to be your best friend in any of the Naval Strike maps, especially when it comes to moving from island to island. You know, the fact that you can just move across the sea from island to island just like you would on a jet ski, but then you can actually go up on the island, back into the sea. It just makes for some really cool gameplay and some really interesting things come out of it. Boom! Another roadkill there as I go off to try and plant the MCOM. Unfortunately, that guy gets a showdown with me there. Now, I've been pretty stoked to try and get in the transport helis and see just how powerful these miniguns have become, and I can safely tell you guys that they no longer fire marshmallows. In fact, I don't think they even fire potatoes. I'm pretty sure that those are lead bullets without a shadow of a doubt, because those things are extremely powerful as my pilot decides he's gonna bail out in midair. So there you go, guys. Those are my initial thoughts on Naval Strike. Pretty good. I'm really enjoying this DLC, probably more than any of the other DLCs so far. And, you know, once again, just look at this map, fly around in the jet. How beautiful does this map look? It just makes me smile playing this, man. It's so much fun. Carrier Assault for me was a bit of a letdown, and there are some bugs within it still. That's pretty much the only thing that I have to complain about as of yet. So yeah, 90% positive, maybe 10% negative. So overall, a very good DLC so far. I may be doing some more videos covering each map in detail. Let me know in the comment section down below. Would you guys like to see that? Similar to what I did for Second Assault, so I could cover all the Levolution events and some of the interesting assets and features of the map. Let me know down below if that's something you would be interested in seeing. And as always, feel free to let me know your thoughts on the DLC as well. I would really like to know what you guys think, especially concerning Carrier Assault. Is this just me? Am I the only person who doesn't really find it that great, and that it's not really meeting the hype that was brought upon it? I don't feel like it's anywhere near as good as it was in Battlefield 2142, but like I said, maybe that's just me. Let me know in the comment section down below, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like down below to let me know, and I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.